Hi, and welcome to this video classes. In this series of video classes, I will be covering all the topics on Python. In this particular video, I will be covering the parts of basics. In that, three aspects. One is keywords, another one is identifiers, another one is variables of Python. We all know Python is very high level language, very user friendly, and we can develop the code at less time. There are many functions that what already there in Python, and all those functions must be associated or referred with some predefined words. Of course, there are a lot of functionalities are there. Few functions has been associated with a word, and that word we call it as a keywords. Now you can see here the definition. The keywords are the special reserve words and have a specific meaning. When I use these keywords, and these keywords are also case sensitive, and in normal English language, either if I use uppercase or lowercase, the meaning is going to be the same. For the computers and the Python is concerned, the meaning is associated with a case. Now all the keywords are lowercase, and there are 35 keywords are there in the current version of Python. The Python all the way started in 1991 by Guido van Rossum with the version 1.0, and later it has come to 1.1, 1.2, and then come to 2.0, and then it has all the way come to a now current version. You can check it in python.org. 3.11.5 version is available. Now, until 3.8 version, the few years back, it was 33 keywords, and now there are total 35 keywords. And all the keywords are lowercase except the three keywords that true, false, and none. You can notice here T is uppercase, F is uppercase, and N is uppercase. All are lowercase. Now, if you use a true in this way, it's works fine as a keyword, and all this keyword as a color coding. I'll just show you in the interpreter. And if you use a true like this is not the keyword, this is different meaning, and this is different meaning. I'm talking about the interpreter is concerned. Just I'll show you how this is going to work with my interpreter. Just a second. Now you can see that if I use some name, a is equal to something like a true. So this is a keyword, and you can see that the color is an orange, and if I use a, it will going to give me the true as a value. Now if I same thing, if I use a b is equal to true in the lower case, definitely it doesn't have any meaning. So that's why the color is not orange. It is just a black. That is just data. Now we can see that it is going to throw an error because it's not valid data or a keyword. Okay, now see all this. There are totally 35 keywords are there, and each of this keyword is associated with its own meaningful functionality. Okay, so that is a rich set of functionalities is there. You can use this 35. Now we move to other part, that is identifiers. Just a second. Just take this out, and I'll take my identifiers here. Okay, just hold a second. Okay, I'll just keep it. Okay, so now you can see the identifiers here. The identifiers means name given to any of the programming entity in Python. The meaningful name. See, it's like all of us as a human beings, we have a very meaningful name. We are just not kept some names like a 123 or some other without having some meaning. And around us, everything has a some name. In the same way, whatever you create in a Python, it must be identified or referred with a meaningful name. That is what we call it as a identifier. And it could be a name of a variable, or name of a function, name of a class, name of a module, name of a list, name of a dictionary, name of any other object. anything is fine, that must be referred with a name that is called an identifier. And all the names in a Python, see this meaning of this, all these basics, it's almost similar to other languages. If you are familiar with other languages, definitely the learning of a basics in a Python should make much easier. Otherwise also it's a very basic things. After practicing a few moments, it should become easy. Now, identifiers has some rules in Python. Like other languages, there are 6 rules we have mentioned here. Identifier can have a combination of letters. We can use all the lowercase letters or all the uppercase letters, or we can use all the digits 0 to 9, or only one special character you can use, that is a underscore. Other than that, it's not possible to use. And you make sure that you are not going to start with a digit, even though we can use a digits as a part of my identifier, but it's not supposed to start with a digit. Now, keywords cannot be used identifiers, because identifiers are referring to some object, some value, some name. But the keywords already referring to some predefined functionality, so they have a meaning. So we cannot use the keywords as an identifier. We cannot use any of the special characters like this. You can see that all the special characters what we have out of 128 characters in the ASCII table, these are all the special characters, though definitely we cannot use to name the identifiers. And identifiers can have any length, but of course the internally my Python is going to consider up to 32 characters, but theoretically we can use any length of a character. Minimum is one character and maximum any length, but um, doesn't matter, you can use anything. Now, identifiers are case sensitive. Definitely the uppercase characters are different from if you use something like a num in uppercase and a num in a lowercase. You can use this one as well as this one. If you see the plain English, this one and this one has the same meaning, but with the interpreter, with a Python or any other computer language is concerned, I'm talking about general purpose languages. There are some languages which doesn't have a difference, but major general purpose languages, they have a case sensitivity, and Python definitely has a case sensitivity. It is uppercase are identified as a different, lowercase are identified as distinct. If I see other some of the examples as identifier, if I use a phi square here, or if I use a FIVE square, or if I use a 5 underscore square, or if I use a underscore square, or if I use underscore 5 square, or if I use a underscore 123, or if I use I'll just write few of here. If I use a for lowercase, if I use a for uppercase, and if I use a hi hello with a space, and if I use a hi with the single quotes. Now we can see here 5 square starting with a 5, it's not valid, it's not a valid identifier. 5 square, it is fine, I don't have a space here, so 5 square it is valid. And 5 underscore, it's the first starting with a number, it's not valid. And underscore square, it's a valid. Underscore 5 square, underscore 5 square, it's valid, it's starting with underscore 1 to 3 also valid. And now for as a keyword, it's not valid. For uppercase doesn't have any meaning, it's valid. Hi hello with a space is not valid. Hi with a single quotes is also not valid, because single quotes are special characters. So maybe you can check out with some of the valid identifiers. If you want to, if I want to show how this my interpreter will take all those things. Now, if I have FIVE equal to 10, fine, it works fine. So I can give a FIVE, so it is going to print. Or if I use a 5SQ is equal to 20, you can see here it is not valid because it is starting with a number. Or if I have a underscore 5, yes, this definitely should work fine. So now even if I print 5, yes, definitely, yes, it is going to work. Any other examples also, if you take something like hi at 1 to 3, definitely it is not going to work because we have a special character here. Or if I use hi simply as a 10, it is, yes, works fine. So, and these are some of the examples you can really check with. You can use any of the Python interpreter. I'm using a one simple Python interpreter, that is IDLE. There are a lot of interpreters are available. You can check it out. Now, another part we are going to discuss is the variables, how we really create the variables in Python. One second, I just drag this variables here. Ah, okay, keep it here. Variables. Okay, this is little slow. Okay, I'll just keep it here. Okay, fine. Now the next part is the variables. Now, any programming entity in Python or any other language is going to be referred with some name. And even earlier, what we have discussed, the identifiers, the variables are part of a identifiers. All the variables are we can identify as a all variables we can identify as a identifiers. Now, the meaning of the variables in other languages, if you are from C, C++, and Java, that is completely different meaning. There, the variables are the names used to reserve a memory, or we call it as a containers. But Python being a dynamic and the scripting language, variables are just the pointers. You can see that they are used to just refer to an object. They are not the containers. They are not used to create the memory. They are going to be used as just the pointers. Okay, you can see that as a Python variables is a symbolic name, that is reference or a pointer to an object. How do we create a variables in Python? If you see this, a is equal to 8. Without giving a value, you cannot create a variable in a Python. This value we call it as an object, and object and values are, they are little related, because objects are much more than the value. The value is going to get all the details, that is how much memory it is going to take, and what type of data, what are the properties, when it is created, who is created, all those details related to the value. That is what we call it as an object. And for that object, already this object will get a memory but not the variable. That is how the variables are used and created in Python. This a is just a reference through this assignment operator given to the object. So we cannot create any variable without giving a value in a Python. But in other languages, first we create a variable and then we will assign the value. Maybe in the other video, I'm going to explain how these objects are behaving completely. Now, always initialize the variable upon declaration. Without initializing the value, you cannot create a variable in Python. No data type is required for a variable creation. We are not telling what type of variable it is, whether it is integer or a float. That is what the dynamic concept that used in a Python. But other languages, first you need to tell the type and how much memory it is required to hold the value. That here it is completely different. If you want to know, now we can create a variable a is equal to 10, or b is equal to 2.5, or c is equal to true. Now you see this a is integer type, and b is float type, and c is boolean type. Now if you want to know what is the type of this variable, automatically it will be assigned by the interpreter. We have one operator called a type operator. If you use a, this is going to get me the answer as a class int. This is the integer type, and I can check for all other variables also. Now this is the individual variables I am creating. How do we create a multiple variable with a single expression? Now we can create using a equal to b equal to c equal to 8. Three variables I can create in a single statement. This is one way. And next way, we can create with a comma and assignment operator. A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3. And next way, we can use a semicolon in order to create multiple statements in a single line. Even though we don't use semicolon at the end of every statement, that's what the norm in other languages. But here, semicolon just used as a separator between the statements. And then I can use uh, comma operator with multiple variables and that associated with a string. Here x will get a and y will get a b and z will get a c. Quickly, if I show these things with my interpreter is concerned, just a second. Okay, get the things here. And for a single variable, this is one different thing you can see from other languages. We can have one variable getting a different types at a different times. Whatever the previous one is, that means if I use a is equal to 10 and the same variable a is equal to 2.5 and a is equal to something like a true, finally we will be having in a only a true. So this is possible. This you cannot even do this one in other languages. So I got a true. So in other ways, I can create a variables are a is equal to b is equal to c is equal to 10. All the variables will get a or b or c or 10. Otherwise, I can use a comma b comma c equal to 2 comma 3 comma 4. So now you can see that b will get a 3 and c will get a 4. And now another way I can use it using a semicolon. Maybe a equal to 10, semicolon b is equal to 20, semicolon c is equal to 30. This is also possible. You can see that a is equal to 10 and it will almost override. Otherwise, I can use a comma b comma c equal to with a string format. I can use the numbers also 3, 4, 5. Now a will get a 3 as a string format, b will get a 4 likewise. And if I want to know what is the type of this all these variables, now if I use a type of a, definitely it is going to be in the string format. Now we can see this. It's a string. Or if I use a now something like a is equal to 10, it's a type of now it's going to be in integer form. Okay, class it. Okay, that's all for this class. So we have come across the keywords and identifiers and variables. In other video classes, I will be covering other parts of our basic. Thank you for watching.